Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever looked out the window at a deeply overcast sky and felt that creeping worry that your home is about to go completely dark? Living off-grid gives us this incredible sense of independence, but here's a surprising fact. In some northern areas, winter can literally slash your daily solar production by up to 70%. That's massive. So today, we're going through an explainer based on data from InfoGuide NG all about mastering the hybrid approach. Basically, how to safely use a portable generator to really back up your solar system.
Think of this as your off-grid survival guide. We are going to break down this entire process safely and step by step. First, we'll talk about curing battery anxiety. Then, we'll look at the exact hardware setup you need. After that, we'll dive into programming your system for maximum efficiency. And finally, we'll cover the operational best practices you need to follow. Let's get into it.
Section 1. Curing Battery Anxiety, the Winter Power Deficit.
And this brilliantly illustrates a very real, very emotional pain point for off-grid homeowners: battery anxiety. When winter rolls around, shorter days and heavy clouds mean your energy production just drops. It's that undeniable tension. You know the feeling that sets in when you're staring down a week of bad weather, watching your reserves slowly deplete, and stressing over whether you'll even have enough power to make it through the night.
To put this into perspective, let's just look at the numbers for a second. A standard off-grid setup might consist of three 14.3 kilowatt-hour batteries, so that gives you a total storage capacity of roughly 42 kilowatt-hours. Now, under normal conditions, that 42 kilowatt-hours is great. It'll easily provide about 3 days of reliable power. But what happens when you get a week of solid overcast weather, right? 3 days of capacity simply isn't going to cut it, and that is exactly when that battery anxiety really starts kicking in as the sun goes down.
Now, you might be wondering, hey, why not just buy more batteries? Well, sure, you could build a massive, oversized battery mountain to handle a rare winter storm if you happen to have a money tree growing in the backyard, but realistically, doing that is a massive financial expense for an event that might only happen a few times a year. On the flip side, integrating a cost-effective portable generator acts like a really smart safety net. It lets you keep a smaller, much more affordable battery bank while still giving you the absolute confidence to top off when the weather completely refuses to cooperate.
Let's move to Section 2, the hardware setup, and see how this builds a bridge over that power gap.
So, how do we actually physically connect a fuel-burning machine to a high-tech solar array? Well, a professional setup requires a couple of specific integration components. First up, you absolutely need an inverter with a dedicated generator port. This is totally crucial for safety and function. Second, you'll need a heavy-duty 30-amp 4-prong twist-lock generator cord. Think of this cord as the lifeline that carries the power straight from your portable generator right into your home's power center.
The physical connection is where safety becomes paramount. You're going to use that heavy-duty cord to connect the portable generator to a hardwired exterior port on your building. That port is then wired directly into the inverter's dedicated input terminals. Now, it's really important to note here, while your portable generator will have its own built-in breaker, the true safety of your home's entire system relies on this robust, hardwired integration directly into the inverter. You cannot cut corners here.
Moving right along to Section 3. Programming for efficiency, creating wiggle room.
Connecting all that hardware? That's really only half the battle. The real secret sauce lies in how you program the inverter. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the concept of wiggle room. Let's say you have an 8,000-watt generator. You should never, ever program your inverter to pull the full 8,000 watts to charge the batteries. Instead, capping the charge rate at, say, 5,000 watts ensures the machine isn't running continuously at its absolute limit, redlining. Building in that wiggle room massively improves your fuel efficiency and adds years to the engine's life.
And actually, that wiggle room is also super vital because of a really fantastic feature called generator boost. Picture this: your generator is running, it's charging the batteries, and suddenly your well pump or a heavy-duty heater kicks on. Bam! That's a massive, sudden power demand. Well, Generator Boost acts like a tag team effort. It allows the inverter to instantly pull power from the generator and your solar batteries at the exact same time. This brilliant little feature prevents those high-demand spikes from stalling or totally overwhelming your portable generator.
When everything is properly programmed, the entire system becomes incredibly seamless through automatic recognition. Once you fire up the generator, the inverter is constantly monitoring the incoming power. The very second it detects a stable voltage from the generator, it automatically takes over. It instantly routes that generator power to run your home's current loads, and then it takes all the remaining excess energy and funnels it straight into recharging your battery bank. It's practically magic. You don't have to go around manually flipping a bunch of switches inside the house. The whole shebang just works.
Finally, Section 4. Operational best practices. Safe and efficient execution.
So we've got the gear and the programming dialed in. Now let's look at the actual everyday steps you need to take. When it's time to fire up the generator, you absolutely must follow a mandatory startup sequence to avoid damaging your really expensive equipment. Seriously, never skip these. Step 1. Plug in the twist lock cord while the generator is completely powered off. Step 2. Start the generator engine. Step 3. Let the engine idle and warm up so the power stabilizes. Take your time. Don't rush this part. And finally, Step 4. Only after it's running nice and smoothly, flip the generator's built-in breaker to the on position to send power to the house. So the crucial point is understanding the ratings actually printed on your generator. Think of starting watts like a sprinter's burst of speed. It's a massive, temporary surge of power designed to last for just a few seconds. Running watts, on the other hand, is a marathon runner's pace. It's what the machine can sustain continuously over time. When you program your inverter's battery charging load, you must base it entirely on those running watts. You should never try to operate continuous battery charging anywhere near the generator's maximum starting capacity. Also, keep in mind that getting through a seriously cloudy week might mean running your generator overnight. For extended use maintenance, you really have to treat this machine just like a vehicle engine. If you're running it for long, say 8-hour intervals, you must actively monitor it. Shut it down periodically, and always ensure the oil level is sufficient. Running a generator dry on oil will literally destroy the engine, completely defeating the purpose of your whole backup plan.
Finally, when exactly do you turn the thing off? Well, the sweet spot for efficiency is hitting right between 90 to 95% of your battery capacity. Look, fuel is expensive, generators are fantastic at pushing a lot of bulk power really quickly when your batteries are super low, but those last few percentage points of charging, they are actually incredibly slow. So once your battery interface hits that 90 to 95% mark, you should either drop the charge rate significantly or just turn the generator off entirely. Let the sun provide that final slow topping off the next day. It'll save you a ton on fuel.
Which leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Sometimes, folks in the solar community feel like the moment they turn on a gas generator, they've somehow failed at being off-grid. But is true off-grid freedom really about relying strictly on the sun no matter how bad the weather gets? Or is it actually about mastering the balance of all available resources to keep your family safe and warm? Using a portable generator isn't a failure of sustainability at all. Honestly, it's a masterstroke of hybrid resilience that makes true off-grid living accessible, affordable, and practically anxiety-free.